Hello everybody and welcome to my Flosstube channel, Bluesy Jazz, here on YouTube. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. If you're a new viewer, welcome. My name is Jasmine and this is where I share everything cross-stitch. This episode is a little bit out of the norm. It has been a month and a half since I last spoke to you, and I've gotten, I think, quite a bit done. And I'm also going to do a little bit of a finish parade, but it's a pretty pathetic one because I don't have a lot of the pieces that I finished this year, and also a WIP parade, as well as going over my 2022 plans, plus the regular update stuff in between. So I stitched quite a bit in the last month and I'm pretty happy with the progress that I made. So let's set that on the back burner for a minute and go over some finishes. The most recent finish that I have that you have not seen, I both started and finished since I saw you last. It was a piece that I made for my boss, who is a Golden Girls fan, and I actually made this before the news about Betty White broke, and I actually gave it to her before the news of Betty White passing away, unfortunately. It was like that week that I gave it to her, but it is... this is just a picture of it. It says, as they say in St. Olaf, and that border is really hard to see with the light, but it's actually a stitched word from this series. So she loved it. She absolutely loved it, and I was happy to have made her happy. Basically what happened is I went with some friends to Michael's. One of them was like, oh look, a Golden Girls stitch pattern or pattern book, and me knowing that my boss is a huge mega fan of Golden Girls, could not allow myself to walk out of the store without purchasing it. So I got it, I stitched that for her, and she absolutely adored it. The next finish is one that I think I've FFO'd since I saw you last. I don't remember if it was FFO'd in my last update, but this was a monochromatic or single tone gradient piece that I finished in a hoop that I painted black. There's nothing over the back of it, but so there's that. And the next piece I have to show you is something that very few people have seen, and that is because it is a piece that I did somewhere between 5 and 10 years ago, closer to 10. I can't remember when I stitched it, but I stitched it for the man who was my boyfriend at the time and ended up giving it to him, which is what I do with a lot of cross stitch. It's why I don't have a lot of my finishes that I've done since I started cross-stitching when I was really young, because I always gave it away. And this is a piece that I gave away. Well, what happens when you marry your boyfriend that you gave the piece to? You get it back. So this was a piece that I did not know what I was doing. I mean, they say there's no rules in cross-stitch, but I have learned a lot in the last year, a lot. And there are flaws with this piece that I see, and I definitely want to reframe it, and I'll show you why. So this was I believe this was a dimensions kit. It says, love you yesterday, love you still, always have, and always will. And I love that sentiment. I love it. So one flaw with this piece is that I didn't realize stitches were supposed to go the same direction, the legs of the stitch, which I know doesn't really matter, but that's what they say. And so that rule is definitely broken here, as well as it was not ironed before getting put in the frame. So you can see the hoop marks on here very, very clearly. It's also like duct taped into the frame. I'm pretty sure it's duct taped to cardboard underneath the piece. So I definitely want to refinish it around some sticky board, hopefully recover it, iron it, wash it because it was not washed, and clean the frame because the frame is really dirty. So I have a goal to work on this sometime in the next year or so, just to get it looking a lot nicer. But that's the only piece that I have in my possession that I stitched within older than a year. So yeah, so I like, this is hanging on our wall in our living room because I just like it. I like the sentiment. So next, let's move into the WIP Parade, which I am going to do in chronological order. I know normally I like to start with my wedding piece because that's very important to me, but for a WIP Parade, I just feel like chronological makes a lot more sense. And something that I have done recently is I took a binder. It's like a 1/2 inch binder, so it's pretty small. Yeah, it's a 1/2 inch binder. And what I did was I took a photo of the finished piece, and then on the back, I made these cards. They're printed on cardstock, and they say the designer name, the designer, charting company, fabric manufacturer, fabric color, count. Like there's check boxes over here for the count, what kind of stitch type I'm doing, you know, 1/1 or 2/2, is it full coverage, am I doing my own threads, the stitch count, if it's full coverage, the total number of stitches, and when I started it. I also added a pink sticky note inside the page for my 2022 goals. And on some of them, just for Flosstube purposes, I added another sticky note just on the outside here of how many I did like my January update. So I will be referencing this book. Hopefully the glare isn't too bad. It doesn't look like it's going to be too much of an issue. So instead of pulling out the chart for all of them and showing them to you and trying to remember my start date, I just have it out here. So we're going to start with the first piece that I started since getting back into cross stitching in 2021. Now, some of you may know that I did start cross stitching when I was very young. I've done pieces like that piece that I made for my now husband, but I never kept anything. I never had any good techniques, and I wasn't quite always proud of what I made. But I started back up in April, and the reason I got back into cross stitching is because I saw someone do the loop start method, and it blew my mind. So I was like, oh, you're not supposed to have knots in the back of your piece, or there's ways to do it without getting knots in the back of your piece. This piece has to be full of knots in the back. I'm very curious when I open it up what it's gonna look like. When I do that, I will show you guys because I'm sure it's an absolute hilarious disaster. Not that having knots is necessarily bad. If that's what you do, that is fine for you. I don't like it. That's part of why I never really stuck with cross stitch, was because like the backs were horrible, like really thick and hard to work with. I hated it. So I saw someone do the loop start method, and so I immediately went to Amazon and purchased a kit, and this is what I purchased. Now it is full coverage, it is larger, and this is what I worked on pretty monogamously for the first, from April till September, I think, because that is all I had. April till August. So I started this piece on August 1st. It is called Colorful Cat. It's by a company named Joy Sunday. I will be honest and say I don't think their stuff is fully legit. I didn't really know that was sort of a thing going on, but it is fully, this kit that I got, I don't believe is available on Amazon. I tried looking for it because I got a 14 count kit. I believe there is an 11 count kit of the same pattern. It's just the 14 that I had wasn't available, at least that I could find. So this kit was a 14 count 1/1 full cross with all the kit floss. The stitch count was about 23,000 stitches over the whole piece. This is how far I got, which is most of it, a good 2/3 at the very least, and I'm restarting it, and I'm gonna FFO this. I have reasons for it. Number one, The kit did not come with enough floss, and it is kit floss. Therefore, there are some issues with color consistency between the recommended DMC equivalent, which you can see in this blue spot right here. You can see where that blue changes color, and that is because of that reason. Number 2, I don't like 14 count Aida. Not anymore, and especially really stiff. Now this is softened up a bit because it's been worked on quite a bit, but when I'm putting my needle through the fabric, it's still very screechy and crunchy, and I don't like it. I tried to keep going on it, but I just don't like it, and I don't like working on pieces that I don't like working on. I'm not going to force myself to sit there and endure something that I don't like. I'm not afraid to restart something, even though there are a good 10 to 15,000 stitches maybe in here. And I worked on it for, I mean, a good solid 6 months or so in 2021. I'm restarting it, and that's okay. And I actually have a bit of a start on the restart. Now, I'm restarting it on 28 count, 1/1, full cross with 1 strand. Yes, I believe. I forgot to pull the date that I restarted it, but I will write that down for, you know, the next update I do. And I'm gonna do this extreme cross country color by color. So I'm starting, the way the kit is charted is each color is a number, and there are 14 colors, I think. And they are just they're just in chronological order. So I'm just doing them in the order that they are on the chart. So black was number 1. So this is DMC 310, and I'm gonna do that now. Obviously the size difference, that eye is that eye, you know, it's a quarter of the size. So it's itty bitty. It is 28 count, 1/1. So you can see those stitches. You can't see those stitches, but they are there, I promise. So I did restart that. I restarted that this month. So it was sometime in January that I restarted this. Again, I didn't pull the exact date, and I haven't written it down in that book yet. But my goal for 2022 is to A, restart it, which, check, and B, to color complete 2 colors. That's it. That's all I'm going to ask for myself on this piece, is to color complete the first 2 colors. And if I get it done, great. And then I don't need to push myself to work on it. So. All right. The next piece I have, the 2 oldest pieces I have are the 2 that I'm FFOing and restarting. So I'm also FFOing and restarting this next piece, which is Cat by Let's Make Crafts. Now I love this chart. It's from Etsy. The creator is Let's Make Crafts, and I love it. But I'm restarting it. So let's just get through the nitty gritty. I'm doing this, or I have been working on this on an 18 count white Aida 2/1, sorry, with the called for threads, and I started this August 15th of 2001. And this is how far I got, which is the cat's paw, like his cheek sits up here, and these are his whiskers. I am restarting this on 28 count Monaco, and I believe, I haven't fully decided yet, but I believe I'm gonna do 1/1. I may switch to doing 2/2. And my goal for this year is to A, restart it, and B, to reach 25%. This is something that's in Pattern Keeper that I can easily track my stitches. This is an 18 count Aida, which is better than 14, but it still wasn't my favorite. And in full disclosure, there's a mistake in here that I don't want to try and figure out. and I don't like working on the Aida anymore, so I'm going to restart it on something I do enjoy, which is 28 count Monaco. If you have never stitched on it, it is like a higher count fabric that is a lot like Aida, but it's a higher count, and I enjoy working it much more than I do Aida. So if you're an Aida stitcher and you're looking to do something on a higher count but you don't like how loosey-goosey linen can be, check out 28 count Monaco. I love it. I get it from Michael's, and it's just a white Monaco. Love it. So that's my goal for this one. Story's 25%. That's not too bad. This, I think, is about 25%. Because the cat, it's in a grayscale, a lot of the cat is actually negative space. So it doesn't take too much to get some progress on it. The next piece is my favorite piece, and that is my wedding photo. And I am doing, this was a pattern that I converted myself in Pick to Pat, which is a website. And everything that I'm doing that I can will be linked below. So the website Pick to Pat will be linked below. I didn't pull the Amazon link for my pattern for Colorful Cat, and that's because I can't find it. So anyway, did this on Pick to Pat, and I started this on September 13th of 2021, which wasn't a meaningful date. I really probably should have done it on some sort of meaningful date, like our dating anniversary or maybe a wedding anniversary or the date he proposed. I don't know, but I didn't. September 13th. I'm doing this on 28 count gridded Lugana 1/1 half cross. Sorry, 2/1 half cross. My note is incorrect. This is one I worked in January on. My 2022 goal is to do 60,000 stitches on this piece, which is quite a bit. This is a piece I'm using for the 22 and 22. Obviously I would reach that almost 3 times over. But my goal is to do 4,000 stitches a month, and then in May my goal is higher because I'm going to do Monogamous May rather than Mania, which my husband pointed out was very funny considering it's a wedding photo and I am doing Monogamous May, and I thought that was really funny that he said that. So I didn't reach my goal for January. I still have a couple days to work on it, and I am planning to work on it to see if I can meet or at least get closer to that 4,000 mark. I really don't have a good excuse. I easily could have met it, but I did not. So in January I stitched 2,365 stitches, which is quite a bit, and I'm not gonna turn my nose up at doing over 2,000 stitches on it. It's just not what my goal was. I've completed a total of 9,088 stitches, which puts me at 1.61%. And here is where I'm at. This on a big board. So this is the top row of pages. It's partial pages. And then I was somewhere over here the last time you saw me work on it. So I got a bunch of stuff in here done, and I started, you know, there's those little dots are stitches. Working my way across the top. So if I hold this back, this is the full width of the piece. Give you a nice close up of what I've done. I'm excited to keep working on it. I've learned that doing narrow strips like this, I actually quite enjoy. It is very comfortable when I'm sitting in my chair and stitching from my stand. I have a American Dream product scroll frame, and it's not really meant to do this, but they have some sidebars that are like for 14 inches, but you can like make them incrementally smaller to like a 5-inch or something like that. But because there are holes all the way along, I actually do 2 that are right next to each other, and it gives me a stitching space of about this much. And because I kind of stitch like this a little bit, my arm doesn't have to be like up. I know that makes no sense, but if you saw how I stitch, it does. And so now if it's just this much that's exposed and I have it lower for me, my arms are just like this. And it's way more comfortable for me to stitch because I'm like this. Which sounds lazy. I look like I'm lazy, but it's comfortable rather than doing like, oh, up here, down here, and all around. So doing these narrower strips, I've found that I actually like. So I might keep up with this. That was not the intention. I was planning on doing like a couple pages vertically and cross country, but I like these narrower strips I found. It's a lot more comfortable, so I will probably keep up with that. I'm just trying to stay a little organized. I got all of my pieces out. I ironed them lightly. Obviously, you can still see some hoop marks and crinkles and stuff, but so it was just a light iron, but it was enough to get them kind of like straightened out and looking a little nicer. And on foam boards so that they're nice and presentable for you. All right. My next piece is my current only Mirabelia Whip, which when we go further into 2022 plans at the end, you will see that that will change. But I am doing Snow Queen by Mirabilia. This is what it'll look like when it's finished. And I am stitching this 2/2 full cross on a 32 count Twilight Blue Witchelt linen. And I started this on October 8th of 2021, which it was my like birthday start, even though my birthday is the 14th. I couldn't wait that long, so I started it the day I got the stuff. And my goal for 2022 is to finish it. It's kind of a stretch to me if I'll actually meet that goal, but it's a goal to have. So here is where I'm currently at. And I think she's gorgeous. And I did work on her a little bit this month. I put in a couple of days and I stitched my way down. I had even more and then I had to rip it all out because I had a mistake and it wasn't lining up where it was supposed to. So I had to rip it out. It was about a day's worth of work. Well, a day. It was a night's worth. Like I got home from work and stitched for a couple hours. So it was a couple hours worth of work. I had to rip it all out, so I'll have to redo it. But I'm working on it. I'm getting there. I was able to kind of get out of my funk and pull her out and, you know, put a couple days into her this month. Kind of moving down this way is my plan. It's like, her top, everything you see above this line is fully finished. So it's back stitched and beaded and everything. I love her. I really do. I can't wait to put her up like around the holidays or in wintertime. Even though I live in Florida and there's not much winter, except for it's been freezing lately. It's been so cold. So cold by like 50s. I'm getting down to 30s some nights though, which is very cold for Florida. So we don't have much of a winter, but that's okay. I'll put her up anyway because she's pretty. My goal is to finish that this year. We'll see if that happens. My next piece, I believe, is Scary Apothecary by Hands On Design. And I don't have a great photo of these to show you, but it's a total of 9 patterns. I have all 9. I intend on stitching all 9 and FFOing them all together. And I am stitching these on a 32 count 2/2 full cross on an antique white linen by Witchelt. And I started these on October 23rd of 2021. I do not know the dates that I started each individual one. I just know the date that I started the series as a whole. My goal for 2022 is to finish and FFO them by Halloween. And I am doing that by doing one a month starting in, I believe it's April, and doing one a month, and then I should be done in September stitching them, and then I can FFO them at the beginning of October and have them ready to display for Halloween. If you didn't watch my last video, I thought I had lost these on a cross-country trip to Indiana, and I was completely devastated, so I had to put them in timeout, which is why I'm not currently working on it. It's not because I don't like stitching out of season, it's because I cannot emotionally handle it. So I have a very simple goal. Even though I could finish a couple of these a week, they are very, very simple. You know, I could get them done in a month or two, in all honesty, but I'm not. I'm going to pull out one a month, and that is it. That's it. I'm not going to rush ahead of it. I'm going to stick to my plan, one a month, starting, again, I believe it's in April. I have it written down in my planner. I don't know which date, which month exactly it's in, but. So let's look at my pieces. So the first one, now these are finished stitching. They're not FFO'd, but they are finished. And that is Cauldron Cleaner. Bitter Brew. And Cackle Lozenges. Those are the three that I have finished stitching, which gives me 6 more to do. So April, May, June, July, August, September. Yeah. So yeah, starting in April, should be able to finish them through September. I have one that I have as a whip. And it is, let me show you. So it's a spider web. I think it's spider legs is what it's called. It's this one down here in the middle. Ignore my nails, by the way. They're awful. My nails are usually nice. So that is Scary Apothecary, which I love. I absolutely love these pieces. I cannot wait to FFO them and display them. The next piece I have is another full coverage, and it is a Star Wars stained glass. And I'm stitching this for my husband, who is a Star Wars fan. And the detail on this is really great. We have all the characters. So I let him pick this out and sort of, I mean, I gave him options. I asked him if he would like it and he said yes. And this is also, oh, actually, let me just say this first. I started this November 27th of 2021, and I am doing this 1/1 on 32 count gridded Lugana. And in 2022, this is another piece I have a goal for the 22,000 stitches in 2022. And I'm fairly confident that I can make that with this piece in addition to my other piece with 60,000. I'm pretty confident I can do it. And in January, I was able to stitch 2,047, which meets my monthly goal of 2,000 stitches. And that puts me at a total for the piece of 3,685, which is 1.70% total finish. And here's our mat. Now it doesn't look like much, does it? But I mean, like I said, that's almost 4,000 stitches. And yes, I know I could do it on a black fabric. I chose not to. I'm going to stitch all the black, which means I have a lot of fill-in to do. You can see those itty bitty stitches. And this is a full cross piece as well. And so this piece is very easy for the 22 and 22 because I just block filling color. I can just sit and knock out a few hundred stitches at a time. It's not hard to reach that 2000 goal. I literally reached it in like 2 days. Granted, they were dedicated days for stitching. I think I made it in 3 days, but they were days dedicated to stitching, but still, it's just sitting there and filling in color. It doesn't take a lot. And honestly, I probably have like 6 months worth of just block filling before I move on to the next step, which is what's inside of this circle. So yeah, I honestly don't think that goal is unreasonable in any way. And I'm hoping he'll really like it when it's done. I think he will. He'll appreciate it. But the next piece I have is another full coverage design. This one is the most complicated one that's going to take me the absolute longest to do, but it's going to be one of the most gorgeous. And that is a stitching shelf by Amy Stewart. And familiarize yourself. This is what the piece looks like. And I am doing max color. So this piece is confetti hell on earth. Yeah, it's absolute misery. I'm doing it 1/1 full cross on 32 count. And this piece has a total of 375,550 stitches, which is, so it's a mammoth, it's big, but it's going to be absolutely beautiful. I had said that this was a piece that I was going to do 22,000 in 2022. That is in no way going to happen. There's no way. If it was my only piece, maybe, maybe it would be able to make it. Because there is so much confetti, I stitched on this piece. So let's compare it to the Star Wars where I'm just filling in, right? Same count of fabric, same size, and a night of stitching just after work in my chair for Star Wars, I could probably get a good 300 to 500 stitches on. A stitching shelf, I stitched on it after work a night last week and got 40 stitches done because there is so much color change, so much confetti that it just takes forever. So I am not doing that. I'm gonna say around 2,000 stitches is my goal. My goal is gonna be about 200 a month, I think. We'll see. That goal is incredibly loose because there's just no way I'm gonna meet the 22 and 22. There's no way. So I ended up stitching just that one night on it this month and got in 40 stitches. And that brings me to a total of 172 stitches because I did start this in December 19th, and I'm at a total of 142 stitches, which puts me at 0.05%. I'm not even 0.1% of the way done with this piece. Which is fine. I'm not in any rush to get this piece done in any capacity. It's not a gift, it's just for me, so it's fine. Let me get closer to you. This is what I have done. I'm doing a pin start on this, so those stitches that don't look very neat at the bottom is because they're pin stitches, so those will get covered up. So really itty bitty. I would estimate that there is about, so I have 172 colors in here. I would estimate that there's over 125 different colors of thread in just this little spot. And I am not exaggerating. It is almost 1-for-1 in the colors to the amount that I have stitched. It is insane. It takes forever. Now, I do recognize that the corner that I'm stitching is that way. Like, it's just a little bit worse. And once I get a little bit further over, it's not going to be as bad. I'm doing this on a diagonal, if you can see. And I'm going to do a 20 stitch wide diagonals. I am going to park, this corner is just whatever. I'm going to park when I do it. So So, I think that's all I have to say about that one. Oh, A Stitching Shelf by Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. If I did not say that, again, everything is linked down below that can be linked. So, I do love this piece, I do. And now we're on to 2022 starts. Now, you guys haven't seen these because I did start them in January. Oh, and actually, I think I restarted this since I saw you last. So if it looks like I did, I did. So, all right, 2022 starts. I started 2 pieces on the exact same day because I couldn't help myself. They are smalls, and they are pieces that I have dedicated for certain spots and times of my life. So I work hybrid for work. So I am in the office some days and some days I work from home. And I am in the office 2 days a week on Wednesdays and Thursdays and every other Friday. So it comes out to about 10 days a month that I'm actually in the office. Some months it's more, like March I think has more days, but so and my requirement from work being hybrid is a minimum of 10. So I'm in the office about 10 days a month, and on my lunch break I get an hour, and so I use that time to stitch because it is a good stress relief and reset button for me for the day. And I wanted a small piece that I could keep there and just literally keep at work that I work on only there. So I don't get a lot of work done on it because it is kept at work, and I get about 10 hours a month on it, which sounds like a lot, but I don't think it really is that much when you're stitching. That's not a whole lot. That's maybe 1,000 stitches. If you stitch about an average of 100 stitches in an hour, within that hour you have to set up your stitching and tear down your stitching. 100 stitches a month, or 100 stitches an hour, plus set up, tear down, it's about 1,000 stitches a month, so that's not a lot of time. So I am stitching Secret Garden by Tiny Modernist. So this is the piece I keep there at work. And it says, if you look the right way, you can see that the whole world is a garden, and I love it. So. I am stitching this on a cream colored Zweigart linen, or even weave. It's either linen or an even weave. And I'm doing 2/2 full cross on 32 count with all of the called for threads. The designer of this is Sharon McKinnon with Tiny Modernist, and I started this January 3rd, 2022. So I do keep it at work, but I have worked on it outside of work twice. The first time was the 3rd of January when I started the piece. I put in 45 minutes because I just wanted to get it started. And then I kept it at work, put in 10 hours of work on it throughout the month. And then today when I went to, on 2 Saturdays a month, there is an Embroiderers Guild of America stitch-in at a local library, and there's 2 hours of stitching time there. I brought a few pieces. I had a friend pick at random which one I was going to stitch, and this is the one that she picked, so I did put in an additional 2 hours on it today, more like an hour and 45 minutes or so, which gave me time to finish the door. So here's where I'm at. I can get it. Was able to finish the door. Now this is charted. Someone asked me today when I was working on it if they implied that it was a variegation. That is not true. It's all DMC, and it is charted with that coloration. So I was able to finish the door. So I'm happy to move on to I think I'm going to move up to the flowers that frame it next. And my goal for 2022 is to finish it. I don't think that's unreasonable. Even if I work on it only at work throughout the year, I should be able to finish this in a few months. So that's that one. The next piece that I started the same day, January 3rd, again, it's a piece I couldn't help myself starting, so I put in 45 minutes on the 3rd, even though it also has a special designation. I am working on Bluebird by Shannon Christine of Shannon Christine Designs. I'm stitching it on a 28 count ice blue linen from Zweigart, and I'm doing 2/2 full cross with the called for colors. And again, I started it January 3rd. And it's just a little bluebird. I think it's so pretty. And my goal for 2022 is to also finish this one. Now, this piece I keep in my car, and that is specifically for on Thursday nights. I stitch with a group of friends at our local Panera. We go out and eat and chat and we stitch. So we don't get a lot of stitching time. It's once a week and you get maybe an hour of stitching in if you're lucky. I tend to chat a little too much. So I don't have a ton done on it. So this is where I'm at. So it's just that top little ring. This is the outline of the bluebird's head. This is gonna go in there. Alright. And the last piece that I have to show you in my WIP Parade is another piece that has a sort of semi-special designation, and it is also a piece that I am cropping. And this is a piece, it's a small, because it's cropped it's small, that I am keeping I keep it next to my bed for when I want to wind down at night and I want to stitch something but I don't want to stitch something overly complicated, because a lot of the pieces that I have require magnification or a light and or a serious setup with beads and stuff. So I wanted to have a small piece that I could keep next to my bed and just stitch on when I kind of wanted to wind down. And that is where this piece came in. A friend of mine gave me this pattern and I thought it was beautiful. It's English Cottage Sampler. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not a big sampler fan. I'm not a big alphabet sampler fan. So what I'm stitching is just the cottage with the trees. And there are some specialty stitches in there on the roof and in the windows. This is not fully cross stitch. I mean, they're simple embroidery stitches. They're not crazy difficult. So I am doing this on a 28 count China Pearl Joblin 2/2, and it's by Witchold. This is called English Cottage Sampler by Teresa Wensler, and it was either produced or distributed by Just Cross Stitch. And I started this, I'm using all the called for colors with an exception. There was 1 or 2 colors that I did not have in my stash. And so I just substituted incredibly close colors. If you're interested in knowing what those are, I can tell you, you can email me, but they don't make a difference at all. I started this January 17th, so it's only been 10 days since I started this. It's today. Today's the 29th. Sorry, my grandma just called me. This is where I'm at. Wait, it's upside down. I have this on here upside down. And here's where I got to. I'm stitching in the cottage and then I'll probably go up the roof and then back down and around. Once I'm out on that, again, I just stitch on it a little bit at a time. I don't put a whole lot of time into it. That's all my whips. That's it. I don't have too many. How many do I have? I didn't count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have exactly 10. So I think that's a fair number to have kind of on the go. But my whip count is going to go up this year, and that is perfectly fine with me. I'm more than ecstatic to build my whip pile because I like having variety in what I stitch. So I have planned starts for 2022. I have already started kitting them up and getting them ready to go. I have the planned start dates for them, so I want to go through them with you. And if anyone's interested in starting any of these with me, you're more than welcome to if you have them in your collection. I'm really excited to stitch all of them. So the first start I have, I'm actually going to be starting before the next time I see you. And it is, I will apologize up front, it is an out of print chart. I was only able to get my hands on it because a friend is working on this, and I was lucky enough to get it from her. And it is called The Rose of Sharon by Mirabilia. And I thought this was a great piece to start on Valentine's Day, so I will be starting this on Valentine's Day. I'm going to do everything called for. I'm not going to do any color conversions. And my linen I have is a pretty similar color. I don't think I have it written down. Oh, I do have it written down. It's a Platinum Lagana, 32 count, 2/2, all colorful colors, and I'm planning on starting it February 14th. The next one, I am going to do all of the Celtic Seasons by Lavender and Lace. And I'm going to work them in the season. So I'm going to start them on the day that season starts. So on this piece, Celtic Spring, I'm going to start this on March 20th. And I asked for these patterns for Valentine's Day from my husband, and he has already given them to me, so actually I was the one that got them in the mail. So I do already have them. I'm also planning on, with the Rose of Sharon and with the Celtic Seasons and another Mirabilia I do have plans started, I'm going to make working copies and get them bound by Staples or Office Depot. I'm going to get them professionally printed and stuff, and I'm hoping it'll work. Like, I'm hoping they'll print it. Because I've found my snoqualm piece I am doing on, I have photos on my iPad that I'm kind of like marking up with GoodNotes, and if I have a piece that I am only going to stitch in my stitching chair, like a full coverage, I don't mind using a tablet for. But pieces that travel, I think I prefer paper patterns for. I prefer them to be simpler, but I think I prefer paper patterns for. So I'm going to get these printed and bound individually. I thought about putting them all together, but I think I'm going to do them all individually and use those. And I got that idea from a YouTube channel whose name I can't remember. Their name has something to do with a cabin. So if you know who I'm talking about and can remind me, I would appreciate that. They had bound a series together, and I'm also going to do that. This isn't a series that I'm starting this year. I'm intending probably next Christmas to start the 12 Days of Christmas by Nora Corbett. I immediately thought of that series when they said that they bound what they bound, which I believe was a, who does the Santas every year? Oh my gosh, I am blanking on everything. Well, it's a charting company that puts out Santas every year, and they have an alphabet, and they bound the alphabet. And I thought that was genius. So I am absolutely going to do that with Mira's and Lavender and Laces. That type of pattern moving forward I think will fit very, very well. I know it's going to be very difficult. Basically, I have already started creating my working copy for Rose of Sharon, it is quite difficult. I don't have like an industrial scanner, and if you're not familiar with Lavender and Laces or Mirabilias, the charts aren't on 8.5 by 11 paper. They're on large pieces of paper that I then have to fold up, scan in. Yeah, it's not fun, but I'm getting there on Rose of Sharon. I have everything scanned in, trimmed down, highlighted, all that. I just need to get it actually on a document that I can then request to be printed sometime in the next 14 days. So yeah, so Celtic Seasons, I'm going to do that too as well to make working for it easier. So Celtic Spring, March 20th. Next up is May. So I don't have anything planned for March or April. May though, I graduate with my associate's degree, and to celebrate, I'm planning 2 new starts. I'm very proud of myself. I have been on a journey with education for quite a while. I dropped out after 3 years of college. I had to restart, and so I am on my 5th or 6th year of education, and I'm only actually obtaining my associate's degree. I obviously am, I am pursuing further education with a bachelor's degree and hopefully a law degree, but it's going to take time, and I want to celebrate the steps that I make along the way. So I'm not going to be ashamed that I'm only just now getting my associates. I'm going to celebrate it and be proud of myself for that accomplishment. So May 1st, as I just mentioned, I am doing a I'm intending to study law and justice, and my associate's degree is in criminal justice technology because I am intending to do criminal law. So the pieces that I'm starting are related to justice. They are both Lady Justice, and this is a Heaven and Earth Designs. This one is by Kathy Amaral. It's called Balance, and I'm starting it on May 1st, and I think it's gorgeous. It's going to be a lot of background stitching, a lot of dark colors, but I'm fine with that. You saw my Star Wars piece, it doesn't scare me. This piece has over 400,000 stitches when it's done. I'm planning on doing 1/1 on 32 count, which I found that I quite enjoy doing. And I think that's all I have to say about that one. The next one I'm going to do is Lady Justice by Mirabilia. I'm going to actually start this on the day that I graduate, which is May 12th. And I am going to do her on a We the People Constitution fabric. And I'm quite excited about that. I think she's going to look great on it. I think it's very fitting, obviously. So, again, this is another pattern that I'm going to get, printed and bound. So, that's it for that one. Next piece is the next Celtic season, which is summer. If you didn't know, summer comes after spring. And that one I will be starting in June 21st. I have a summer khaki cashel linen lined up for it. And all of the Celtic seasons are on 28 count 2/2 with DMC conversion, because there are needle paints called for. I am doing the DMC conversion of those needle paints because I believe all, if not most, of the ones needed are discontinued. I don't know if needle paints as a brand is discontinued or just the ones that are associated with Lavender and Laces patterns. Either way, I'm just sticking with a DMC conversion of everything. That's that one. The next one is Autumn. I'm starting this one in autumn on September 22nd. And I'm going to be doing, again, a DMC conversion. I have a flax cashel linen lined up. The next piece is another full coverage that I will be starting on my birthday this year. This is my birthday start, and it is the chart that everyone does, Bonded by the Rain. I love this pattern so much. I think it's so cute. I'm not doing max color, I'm just doing the original. And I'm starting this on October 14th. It's Bonded by the Rain by Leonid Afremov, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. 1/1 full cross on 32 count with all the called fors. And that's Bonded by the Rain. And the last start I have lined up for this year is Celtic Winter. And she'll be started on December 21st. So right at the end of the year. And I don't have a fabric for her yet. I have fabric for all the other ones already, but I don't have hers yet. Other various 2022 plans, you heard me mention about Monogamous May. You also did hear me say that I'm starting 2 pieces in May, so how does that work? Well, I'm doing Monogamous May with exceptions. The exceptions being when I stitch at work, when I stitch out of the house at Panera or at the library, and the days that I'm starting those new pieces. So I will only get 1 day on each of those new starts in the month of May. The rest of time will be dedicated to, sorry, all my stuff is falling over. All my stuff will be dedicated, all my time will be dedicated to my wedding photo piece and finals. So, do I have anything else to share? I have been making my own project bags for each piece. Each piece is getting its own style, well not style, they're all the same style, but different fabrics that match the piece. I've just been having fun with that because I like having all the project bags, but then I don't want to pay for them. Obviously I'm paying for fabric, but that's like $4, so I'm enjoying that. Maybe the next time I do a update, I'll show you the bags with the associated pieces. I just didn't really feel like figuring all that out because I got everything out and ironed them for the WIP Parade just to make everything a little bit nicer. I'm in a new filming spot, now that you can really see anything up there. I don't know, you might be able to. Happiness is homemade is what that sign says if it gets cut off. My plans for February are to meet my goals with Star Wars, with my wedding photo, and with stitching shelf. I'm going to try very, very hard to meet those. I will stitch tomorrow on my wedding photo piece just to try and get me a little bit closer to that 4,000 goal, because I was only at about 2,300, I think I said. So I don't expect to stitch 1,700 stitches tomorrow, but I will probably get at least a little bit closer to that 4,000 mark, maybe a little bit over 3,000. And I'm going to keep on kitting up the stuff that I'm working on. Oh, something I am doing is there is a stitching needle workshop in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, which is about 2.5 hours from where I'm at. A couple friends and I are actually going down this weekend, so I'm excited to go down and spend a little money. It's called the Stitching Cupboard. CUPBOARD. They do ship, I believe, and you can call them and order stuff if you are interested in supporting smaller businesses. From what I can tell, they have everything you could ever possibly need in your life. So I am looking forward to going to that. I'm going to keep kitting up my stuff. I have most of the things I need for most of the projects that I'm starting this year. I'm going to also try and find some smalls to keep kind of, I want to get a stock of some smalls that I want to do and kit up to have for when I finish the other smalls, because right now I don't have anything to kind of replace them with if I were to finish them tomorrow. So I want to do that. I think that's kind of what I'm going to aim for when we go to the stitching cupboard. Anything else to mention? I know this is a little late for a WIP parade. Everyone already had theirs done, but could always use a WIP parade, right? Even in the end of January. I was gonna ask, do you guys like seeing before and after photos when people do that on their stitching videos? Do you like seeing them month to month or year to year? So in my next update, would you like to see the comparison from where I was in January to where I am in February? Or are you not interested in that and do you like seeing the bigger progress made at the end of the year, so January to January? Let me know your thoughts. I'm going to take pictures. I have everything pulled out, so I'm going to take pictures of everything so that I have a file that I could potentially try and figure out how to insert photos and kind of show comparisons if you're interested in that. I haven't done that so far, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I don't know if I'm going to be able to figure it out. I will try. I'm not technically savvy. It's just being able to actually have the physical means and technology to do it. So I will see. I will try if that's something you guys are interested in. Another thing I've been working on is getting a full set of DMC. I am building that up slowly just because it can be pretty costly to do. I'm doing them on plastic bobbins and not pip and chip, just regular plastic bobbins, and I have all of the ones that I need. A friend graciously gave me a couple hundred, 200-300 of them, and because she got pip and chips, so she didn't need those anymore, so I got those, and then I bought the rest that I needed, and I've bobbinated up through part of the 700s chronologically, numerical order, from 0, 1, 2, I don't know, maybe like 720 or something like that. But I only have purchased a handful more. I don't have any 800s. I'm somewhere in the 700s with my purchasing as well. So I'm working on getting those because I have decided to use those for full coverages moving forward. It just makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm going to be doing that moving forward. I think I need to stop rambling. I think that's what I'm doing here at the end of the video. So I'm going to say that that's all for today, folks. I hope you have a wonderful February. I will see you at the end of February. Oh, I was going to ask, if you've made it this far, do you want to see more frequent updates? I've been filming at the end of the month and doing monthly updates. Do you want to see more often? Would you like that? Do you like the longer form at the end of the month, or would you prefer shorter videos more often? Let me know your thoughts. I'm not going to commit to any changes at the time, at this second, but I'm more than happy for the feedback to see what you guys like. Okay, yes, so as of right now, my plan is to come back at the end of February, and I will probably actually film at the beginning of March because I am having some stitching time with some friends at the end of February, so it might have to be filmed at the beginning of March. But alright, well, that is all I'm going to say for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to subscribe or like the video. I think I'm supposed to say those things.